I've lost count here, Rick, but one of the big things that happened this week is you got yet another Oculus device. I don't know how many
Yeah,
you
you
have,
know
but tell
what?
us about that.
If you remember back at the beginning of the season, we talked about the fact that all these new VR headsets are coming out. We talked about the Go, we talked about the Rift S, we talked about the Quest. And at the time, I kept telling you, I'm waffling. I don't know which one to get. And so I put off that decision. And then I happened to try an Oculus Quest and I immediately fell in love. And so I ended up this last week going out and buying an Oculus Quest headset. And I have to say, even compared to the Rift, which has arguably better graphics, the Quest is so much more fun to play with. And it's just that idea of being wireless, just putting on your head and then it works. Being able to move around in a larger space without, the issues of when you turn your back to the sensor, is it going to read your hands? I'm just so impressed with the device. It is so much fun to play with.
Holy smoke. So I was hoping that you would say that's the case. So you're saying this thing is everything that you'd hoped it to be. It's wireless. You're not going to pull the computer off the desktop when you move or get a
Exactly.
misread. Now, how is it this thing tracking your movements then? Just your head?
Yeah, so on the face mask, it actually has a series of cameras around the edge of it.
Okay.
Pointing forward, pointing down, that sort of thing. Each of the hand controls has infrared sensors or whatever, infrared lights across the top of it. So the headset actually tracks where your hands are. So when you turn around, of course, you can still see them, even though you're not facing the TV or what have you. And so by having everything built into this, the fact it can scan the room, cool things like when you step out of the Guardian area, it then shifts into kind of like an AR view of your surroundings, so you know actually where you're standing in the house. I mean, there
Nice.
were just so many like little nice things that it added that it's absolutely amazing. Now, the refresh rate is slower than what it was on the Rift or the Rift S. The resolution isn't as high as, I forget which of the two, but it doesn't matter. It's actually just such an immersive, great experience. I had three friends over on Friday night, and I'll send you a video. One of them was literally rolling around on the floor, dodging laser beams coming at him from the pirate training video game. I mean, it is
Wow.
so much fun. It's approachable for $400. It's an all-in-one system. It doesn't require that $1,500 PC to go with it. And the graphics are actually just good. They're really good. They're not as amazing. They're just really good, and they're good enough that you can kind of suspend disbelief.
That sounds so amazing. Will this just play all of the games that work with all of the Oculuses? It just accommodates this headset, or do you have to have special games made specifically for this unit?
Yeah, it will absolutely not play all the games. And that
Okay.
was one of the reasons I held out. If you remember, I've invested in a number of games for the Oculus Rift.
Right.
Although most of them are on Steam, they're not actually out of the Oculus stores. Yeah, Steam just tends to have better prices.
Right.
And so one of the reasons I kept holding off on this is like, do I really want to rebuy all these games? Sure, it's only $400 for the headset, but at $30 for Beat Saber and another $20 for Angry Birds or 15, whatever it was. I mean, it adds up. It's another few $100s. And so what Oculus has done is they've decided they have, by the way, this device is USB-C powered. And so it's got a port on the side, and that has enough bandwidth to actually transfer back and forth video to a computer. So they're coming out with a specialized cable. It's actually a USB-C fiber optic cable, which is kind of fascinating. At each end, it's a normal USB-C connector, but in
Wow.
between, there's like a fiber optic signal. So it's actually a glass cord, with wrapped in, it looks like plastic and stuff like that. And so it transfers enough data that you can actually use the gaming PC to render everything you would with a Rift and then pass it through to the headset. And so that was the thing that kind of pushed me over the edge. Even though that device isn't out yet, it should be out in the next couple of weeks, I think. I was like, you know what? That's it. That will get me. I'll buy a few of the games like Angry Birds and stuff like that I just had to have, and then the rest of them I'll just play them come out of Steam VR once that's compatible.
That's incredible.
So with the Oculus Rift, the game runs on the PC and only the display goes down to the Rift. With the Oculus Quest, with this cable, it basically turns into the same mode. So normally with the Oculus Quest, they have these lower resolution games that actually load onto the Quest, so you're completely untethered. But with a tether, you can use the processing of the PC to actually render those higher resolution games.
Oh, wow. That is so cool.
So you get the best of both worlds.
Wow.
That cable, by the way, is $80 from the last report. So it's not like it's a cheap cable because, like I said, it's fiber optics. So they had to have a transmitter and receiver at each end of the cable. But if you think about it, it's totally worth it because you have this great experience of, like if I go to my parents' house or, my brother's house, I could take the device with me. I can take the Quest with me. We could play with the kids and do whatever. But then when I come back home and I want to play that higher resolution, more intense game, I can plug in and do it.
Do you still feel like each of the 3 different versions of their devices are differentiated enough they'll find a place for everybody?
I think they are differentiated enough. So if you look at the 3 models are the Oculus Go, which is their $200 one, which, by the way, if anybody is thinking about one of these, watch for sales. I've seen several places, Amazon, Best Buy, selling these for $150 right now for the 32 gig model.
Yep.
Anyways, but this one is more of a media focused device. So it's for, you're going to go on a plane ride, you're going to, whatever, be on the train. And so it's really about video and stuff like that. It does play some games, but they're pretty low res. They're not up to the snuff of what most VR users are expecting.
Okay.
The middle range one is this one, which is the Oculus Quest.
Yes.
It's $400. It's also standalone. It has a rechargeable battery, has the 2 controllers, a little more sophisticated. The Go only has a single controller and it's very basic, but it's not quite as sophisticated as the next model up, which is the Rift S, which is tethered. It has to have that high-end PC. You're looking at probably at least $1,000 PC, if not $1,500 or $2,000 PC to get the best experience out of it. So those are the 3 models. I think there will always be a place for that Rift S because the hardcore person who wants to be in that space, there's definitely a market for that. But in my opinion, the indicators are that the Quest has hit the right spot because a week and a half ago, before Thanksgiving, I was looking at a Quest. I went to Amazon. I could have it delivered in 2 days. I waffled on the decision. I didn't do it. I went to Thanksgiving. I came back. I started looking around. Everywhere is sold out. Best Buy sold out. Amazon sold out. Like, I'm going through the whole thing. I think maybe the Oculus site still has them, but everywhere else, they're gone.
Wow.
And I ended up buying mine off of Craigslist. I ended up buying, one that somebody had bought a couple of, and then we're selling them for just a little bit of markup. So it's, I think they hit the sweet spot with that $400 device and with the use case. And from my own experience of, having a couple of friends over to try it out, I'm telling you, like, every one of them wants to buy one now.
Now, will those games play with my Google Cardboard?
Some of them will, very few of them will, but basically the Google Cardboard is the Oculus Go. They're kind of, at the same point.
Okay, that helps dial me in then.
Although I do have to say, I think the Go might have a higher resolution, just simply because it's more of a focused device on that.
Right.
Remember when you put on the cardboard, one eye is seeing half the screen on your phone. So whatever the screen on your phone's resolution is, you're only getting half that in each eye, whereas these dedicated devices have a much higher resolution. Next time we're together, I will bring it and we'll find a big space and try it out.